Hi, it's Jennifer McGuire for Studio Calico. In this technique video, I'm going to show you how to use one of my favorite Studio Calico products that they sell, and it is a mask. And I'm going to show you three ways to use the one mask. The mask I'm going to be using is the intertwined circle mask. It's a really great one. The first way I'm going to use it is to create a patterned paper background, and here is the card that I created using it. It's hard to tell that you use a mask for this, so it's a fun way to use a mask in a different way. So this is the intertwined circle mask, and I'm just going to take it, and I just use pieces of tape to kind of hold it in place. You could use painter's tape or whatever, but I'm just using Scotch tape and just not pressing very hard. So I'm putting it over my paper, and I'm using my pencil to just quickly trace it. And I'm doing this so that I have a pattern to follow later on. Now, there are many ways that you could do this, and this will take a little bit of time, but really the end result is quite fun, and I'm going to show you an easier way to do it. But first, let me show you the way to do it by using the mask as a template. So I've got some papers for my 6x6 Studio Calico pads. I love these papers. They're nice and soft and just beautiful. And I'm going to trace it onto the back of the paper. Now when I go to cut these out, I'm going to actually hold two pieces of paper together. That way I cut two of the little shapes at once. It just takes less time. So I've got these two pieces back to back, and I'm going to cut through them. So you could go through and just cut a bunch of shapes using these different pattern papers. I use 4 here, and it'll take a little bit of time to do this. So let me show you another way to do this that's much faster. And if you do it this easier way, you'd be surprised how quickly it comes together. It's really quite fun. So I have two pieces together again, two pieces of the Studio Calico paper, and I'm going to use my 1-inch circle punch. And the 1-inch circle punch fits perfectly with this, this mask that I'm using. So you punch a circle, and then you put the circles back in a little bit and punch again. I'm sorry, it's a little bit out of the camera here, but you're just putting it in a little bit, and you end up with these little cat eye shapes. And they're really quick and easy to punch. You could actually do 3 pieces of paper at once too. But you're just going to punch right through them, and before you know it, you'll have lots of these little shapes punched to glue in place. Now to make this easier, I'm just using glossy accents, so it just is easier than applying a dry adhesive to these tiny shapes. Any liquid adhesive would be good here. Just put a little bit in between your pencil lines and then lay the pieces on top. And since I made these little shapes a little bit bigger than the pencil line drawings, I cover up the pencil. You don't have to worry about even erasing it. So before you know it, you just cover this with all the different shapes. I have a pattern going here with the colors, and it quickly will come together. Now I am doing this for the front of a card. The mask is 4x6. I could continue the pattern all the way to the edge, but instead I'm going to actually trim off the edge of the card, and I'm doing this because I want my greeting strip to hang off the edge and still fit in the envelope. Now before I do that, I'm going to round the corners of this, and I love how if you use the 1/2-inch corner rounder, it gives a really nice rounded corner that fits in with the pattern. It just looks like it was kind of meant to be with this pattern, so it's really fun. Now I'm using this greeting from one of the Studio Calico Hooray stamp sets. Every little thing is going to be okay. Just going to stamp it on some of the Studio Calico paper that matches the card that I just created. So after trimming this down and matting it on white cardstock just so it'll stand out a little bit, I put some foam adhesive on the back, and I'm going to glue this down. Now since I cut the card narrow, I can let the greeting strip hang off and it'll still fit into the envelope. Sorry, my head got in the way there a little bit. Just going to trim off the extra here, and I'll be able to go and add some buttons on here for a little embellishment, and I'll cut the other end to a V. So that's just something fun you could do with the background, and that would be excellent for a scrapbook page background also. You could do the mask at the top and the bottom and get a 12-inch strip quite easily. Now for the second way to use this, I'm going to use it for an inked background, which I did here. Now you could also use your Mr. Huey's to spray over this, but I wanted to show you how you can use them with inks also. So I'm going to tape my mask into place once again. And I will be using some soft pool shadow ink from Hero Arts. Really, you could use any ink for this. I like the shadow inks from Hero Arts because they dry nice and smooth. Pigment inks would be great for this, chalk inks. Really, you could use anything that you would like. It helps if you have an applicator like this little sponge dauber from Sukaneko, but a makeup foam applicator would even work also. So I'm just rubbing this over the shapes in the mask. It's very quick and easy to do. You could mix up the different colors if you wanted to. I just kept mine all the same. Now after taking off the mask, I decided to add some lines to it just to give it a different look. So I have a glitter pen here that's a teal color. Any marker or pen would work here. Just going to follow along with my ruler, and I'm actually going to back and forth 4 times each time I do this. That way I know my lines end up the same darkness each time. So you just go back and forth, and this just gives it a different look. You could add, you could have double masked, kind of offset for a different look, or add lines in different ways. But I thought the lines in between the patterns was just something fun to do. And I needed a wedding card, so I decided to use this. I'm just adding some pearls into the pattern, and I'm going to use a fun little greeting stamp to go with it. So even though it's got an elegant feel to it, I'll just kind of tone the elegance down with a playful stamp. So there you can see I used some medium and small pearls to the pattern. So there I stamped the playful greeting. I thought that'd be fun for wedding. And I'm again going to round the corner. Because of the circles in this mask, I think the round corner kind of fits nicely. And there you have the inked background. Now for the third way to use this mask, I'm going to do something very easy. It's a traced pattern background, and that's what I did here. I just kind of created my own pattern paper. I'm starting with some blue paper from one of the 6x6 Studio Calico pads, and I'm using a Uniball white Signo broad pen. It's a really good white pen. I think it works great. And I'm just tracing along the shapes here. You could use any kind of pen for this, any kind of marker, glitter pen, whatever you would like, and just trace along it. Just be careful to not let the mask shift, because if there's ink on the mask, it could kind of spread the ink around where you don't want it. Now one option you could do is go back and kind of offset the mask and trace again and turn it many different ways, and you could turn these into flowers or whatever. But I decided to leave it, but that's another way you can use this also. So from that same stamp set, I've got the hello that I stamped with the soft pool ink, and I'm just going to glue it on with some foam dots, and I decided I wanted to use these craft butterfly stickers from Studio Calico. However, I wanted them to be added with dimension. So this is an EK Success powder tool. It just puts down some baby powder, I guess, and it removes the stick from the back of a sticker. So now I can instead put some foam dots on it. So now my stickers become raised, so it looks more like chipboard now. It just gives it a little more dimension. So if you don't have a powder tool like this, any of those embossing powder tools that you might have would work, or you can just adhere the sticker to paper and cut it out. This seems to be much easier. So there you have it, the third way to use a mask to create a traced background. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, please visit studiocalico.com.